Good evening. Tonight's main story is a real humdinger, folks. It's about tariffs, and no, not the delicious Spanish tapas. We're talking about those pesky taxes on imports that President Trump seems to love so much. Now, the stated goal of these tariffs was to protect American jobs and reduce the trade deficit, particularly with China. Sounds good on paper, right? Like a plan cooked up on a gold-plated toilet. It's flashy but ultimately useless. The reality, however, has been about as pleasant as a surprise colonoscopy. As soon as the tariffs were announced, the markets threw a tantrum the likes of which we haven't seen since a toddler dropped their ice cream cone at a petting zoo. Stocks plummeted faster than a toupee in a hurricane. The Dow Jones, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, they all took a nosedive, and I'm talking about a full-on Icarus-style plummet. It was like watching a flock of highly valued pigeons fly directly into the sun. This wasn't just some abstract financial hiccup, folks. This market turmoil directly translated into trillions of dollars in losses for American companies and investors. Trillions. We're talking about enough money to buy every single person in America a lifetime supply of mayonnaise. And not even the good kind. We're talking generic store brand mayonnaise. That's how much money we're talking about here. Like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on global trade trends. And check the links below for exclusive insights and resources. Now I know what you're thinking, John, those are just numbers on a screen. What do they actually mean for real people? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because I'm about to tell you. Remember those jobs Trump promised to protect? Yeah, about that. Turns out when you slap tariffs on goods from other countries, those countries tend to retaliate. And retaliate they did. China, not one to take a trade war lying down, slapped their own tariffs on American goods. This tit-for-tat tariff tango led to uncertainty in the global markets, which is about as welcome as a skunk at a picnic. Businesses hate uncertainty. It makes them jittery, like a chihuahua in a thunderstorm. And when businesses get jittery, they tend to do what any sensible chihuahua would do. They hide, they hold back on investments, they delay hiring, and in some cases, they even lay off workers. So much for protecting American jobs, eh? And if the stock market crash and the corporate jitters weren't enough to convince you that these tariffs are a terrible idea, then let's talk about Walmart. You know Walmart, right? The retail behemoth that's basically America's pantry? Well, even Walmart, a company so large it could probably buy a small country if it wanted to, wasn't immune to the tariff turmoil. Walmart, in a move that can only be described as ominous, issued a warning about the potential impact of these tariffs on consumers. They basically said, and I'm paraphrasing here, brace yourselves shoppers because things are about to get more expensive. And they're not wrong. See, when you slap tariffs on imported goods, those costs get passed down to the consumer in the form of higher prices. So now, not only are American businesses suffering, but ordinary Americans are also feeling the pinch in their wallets. Section 4. Economic Tremors. A global slowdown looms. But wait, there's more. As if a trade war with China and a domestic economic slowdown weren't bad enough, these tariffs have managed to piss off pretty much every other country on the planet. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, which is like the economic conscience of the world, has been ringing the alarm bells louder than a fire alarm testing day at a kindergarten. They've downgraded global growth forecasts, warning that these tariffs could push the world into a recession. A recession, folks. That's economists speak for things are about to get really, really bad. And it's not just the IMF that's worried. Economists, analysts, and even that one weird neighbor who always wears a tinfoil hat are all saying the same thing. These tariffs are a disaster of epic proportions. Section 5. Inflation and uncertainty, navigating the storm. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, it does. Remember that whole inflation thing I mentioned earlier? Yeah, well, it's back, and it's brought its friend uncertainty along for the ride. See, when you have a trade war and a global economic slowdown, prices tend to go up. It's basic economics, folks, supply and demand. And when prices go up, people tend to get nervous. They start to worry about whether they can afford their rent, their groceries, their Netflix subscription. And when people get nervous, they tend to spend less money, which, you guessed it, further slows down the economy. It's a vicious cycle, like that time I accidentally wore Crocs in public and couldn't escape the shame spiral. The point is, folks, these tariffs are a mess. A big, steaming, orange-hued mess. They're hurting American businesses, they're hurting American consumers, and they're hurting the global economy. And the worst part is, there's no end in sight. So, until next time, stay informed, stay vigilant, and for the love of all that is holy, Don't buy any mayonnaise.